Hello and Assalamualaikum. In this video, I will show you how we made the inventory system in Microsoft Excel and the formula that we will use in this inventory system. The first formula that we will use is the multiplication formula. As you can see, the equal symbol, and we will multiply units and the price unit, which is we use the arrow symbol and just drag it out in order to calculate all of the list of the item. And the next formula is we will use the sum formula, which is equal sum and then bracket, and then we choose the list of number that we want to sum up, which is the whole row of the total stock value, and bracket, and just hit enter. And that's it for the sum formula that we use in our inventory system. And the next formula that we will use is the VLOOKUP function formula. Firstly, we will need to select the opening stock table from the second row to the last row and rename it to stock in order to simplify our work or to make our task easier in order to use the VLOOKUP function formula. As you can see, when we selected the name stock, it will select the whole table of the opening stock. And next we will use the VLOOKUP function, and as you can see, equal VLOOKUP, press tab to select, and then we will choose the lookup value, which is the item code, and next we will choose the table array, which is we want to select all of the item code from the second column until the end column of the opening stock, which we have renamed it as stock before. And then we will search for the column index number, which is for the item name. We want to look up the item name from the opening stock into the purchase stock, which is located in the second column in the opening stock. So we will select 2, and next we want to select false, as we want to take the exact number or exact value from the item name from the opening stock into the purchase stock. As you can see, the VLOOKUP function has work out perfectly, and you can just drag it, so you don't have to insert formula from each table. And for the purchase or price, we will use the same formula, which is VLOOKUP function, and then the lookup value, which is the item code. And for the table array, we will select stock, we automatically select all of the opening stock item. And then for the column index number, for price, we will use 3, because the price unit that we want to look up is in the third column of the table. And then we will choose false, as we want to take the exact number from the opening stock to purchase stock, and then you can drag it out, so you will not have to do the formula in each row. And next we will to see if it's work or not. Now we will change the item code, and you can see there is change between the item name and the price unit. And next, for the total stock value, we will multiply the units and the price unit, and the same as the opening stock, just use the asterisk symbol or the star symbol, and then you can just drag it, and we will automatically calculate all of the column for you. And in the sale or stock out, we will use the same formula, which is a VLOOKUP function, which is the same as the purchase or stock in, which will use or the same step, which is the lookup value. We will choose the item code in the stock or stock out or sales tables, and then we will select the table array, which is stock, and then because we want to look up the item name from the opening stock to the sales stock, then we will select 2 and use false, as we want to take the exact item or data from the opening stock into our sales stock. And then same as the price unit, we will use the VLOOKUP function. And for the column index number, we'll choose 3, as we want to take the price or unit from the opening stock to our sale or stock out table. And in our current status of stock, we will use the formula to find or to know the total of closing stock, which is equal, and then select the opening stock, and we will add the purchases, and we will subtract the sale in order to know the total closing stock. And next, in order to calculate the total stock value of our current status of stock table, we will use the formula of multiply, which is the equal and closing stock, and then we will multiply. We use the asterisk symbol in order to multiply with the price, and then you can see there is the total number of our stock, and then can drag it out in order to calculate all of the column, and drag it out. And next, for the purchase and sales, we will use the SUMIF function in order to calculate or to bring the total number of units of each item for the purchase and the sales table. And you can see we'll use SUMIF function, and then we will search for the sum range, which is the total unit per range from the purchases table. As you can see, we will select the whole column of the unit in the purchase or stock in table. And next, we will look for the criteria range, which is what criteria that we want to sum up with, which is we will select the item code from the purchase or stock in table, which is we will select the whole column of the item code. And next, we will select for the criteria 1, which is the item code from the current state of stock, which is PS001, and then close bracket and enter. And then if you can see, it is the same total of unit from the purchase stock in that we have selected. And then if we drag it out, we can see there is a few numbers that doesn't add up, which is that there have been 0, 0, 0 on a certain item. So in order to fix this mistake, we will have to log the formula, which is we will use the $ symbol, as we use our laptop which doesn't have F4. So we will use the $ symbol in order to log our formula, because to sum up or to take the value from the total value from the purchase or stock in table perfectly, there is a need to log the formula, because there is a very different value and criteria. So when we put the the $ symbol on from the sum range and the criteria, as you can see, SN, S5, SN, S5, and we have to put the $ symbol on the criteria range and the sum range only. And then when we drag it out, as you can see, the number where the 0 number have been fixed, which will exactly take the total purchases from the purchase table, and we will do the same in the sales column, which is sum is function, and then select the sum range, which is the total unit per range from the sales or stock out table. And then we will set for the criteria range. We will select the item code, the whole column of the item code from the sale or stock out table. And then from the criteria, we'll choose the item code from the current status table. And then as you can see, when we drag out, there will be the number that don't add up, so we have to log this formula, which is by using the dollar sign on the sum range and the criteria range. And then when we finish, put the dollar sign symbol, just press enter, and then we will just drag it once more time, and yeah, voila, the number or the total item from the total item or the total unit from the sales or stock out table has been fixed. And to make sure that the formula is work, we will test out by changing the units, total unit from the sale or stock out table, and you can see there is also the change on the closing stock or the sales in the current set of stock, which we can see that our formula, the summary formula, is work really well. So that's it. I will thank all of you for listening to my video from the beginning to the end. Thank you, and assalamu alaikum.